Alrighty, everybody. It is Monday, and of course, on Mondays I come to you at 12:30 because I have a client at 11:30, and we coach. And so here I am. It is an extremely gross, rainy Monday over there. I was before I got on this call. I was fussing with the lighting around here, trying to get the lighting to be a little, I don't know, more reasonable. Of the things that they teach you in vet school, they do not, in fact, teach you marketing, lighting design, like funnels and advertising, all that sort of stuff. Immunology that we covered on Saturday, that was all good, but the rest of it, so that you can actually like run a business, not so much. So anyway, today is Monday, and of course on Mondays we talk about weight. So if you go look me up on like my stories or something on Facebook, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know how to use Facebook stories, but I did post this, I guess, publicly. On my stories, I put a before picture, okay? Because one of the questions that I get a ton from people is, Michelle, how did you lose the weight? And today is the day where I'm going to talk about the nitty gritty stuff about how I thought about my body, what I thought about my body, how I felt, and how I developed the capacity to have these sorts of conversations, and with myself, these sorts of conversations with other people, and frankly, work in a food business and lose 85 pounds. Okay. And so that's what we're covering today, because the truth of it is that you live in the body that you have. The body that you have right now is the body that you are going to meet all of your goals with. It's the body that you are going to do all of the major life events in your life with. It's the body that you've done all of those major life events with. And when I really recognized that this is the one that I have, and that whatever I do with this body, whether it's losing weight or gaining weight or dyeing my hair a different color or cutting my nails or piercing my eyebrow, which I'm not doing, or whatever it is, it's all with the body that I have. Right? And so last week was an invitation to tell yourself the truth about your weight and your food and all of that sort of stuff, and to allow that truth to create sentences in your mind, okay? Because that you step on the scale, okay, and very, very few of us step on the scale and see a number. Instead, we step on the scale, we see a number, and almost instantly we get thoughts that drive incredibly negative feelings, okay? And so I want to spend just a little bit of time today talking about what that actually means. People ask me, well, Dr. P, how do I feel my feelings? And the first thing that I want to point out is that feelings, like, one of the ways you can think about it to make it less complicated, and I want you to like start thinking about this intellectually first, for heaven's sakes, because we're intellectual people, okay? And you know how I talk about the dogs of my psychology. So I've got the poodle up in my brain, I've got the Jack Russell Terrier sitting here in my thorax, and I've got the German Shepherd down in my base and my core, okay? Because that's just how I think about them. You may think about them differently. Maybe you have cats or gerbils or hamsters or whatever. And so, but one of the things that the poodle in my brain is very, very good at is she's very good at forming sentences, okay? And directing everybody else about what she thinks. Okay, now sometimes those sentences come faster, and sometimes those sentences come slower. Right? But they're all sentences. Like all the words of my existence come from my brain, whether they're coming from the middle of my brain or coming from the prefrontal cortex of my brain. I sort of think of them as all coming from that poodle. Okay? Maybe crazy, but kind of don't care. All right. And all of those sentences create feelings, and those feelings all have words attached to them. So if you're on my email list over the weekend, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday, it might actually have been Saturday this week. I sent out a feelings list. Like it's like 4 pages in alphabetical order of feelings. If you want that list, just give me a DM and I'll send it to you. And I'll post it in the proofing box for people. And one of the things that I do is when I write down, so like I was doing a thought download about work this morning, and I was trying to figure out exactly what I feel because, guys, guess what? I don't know what I feel all the time. I really don't. I don't think anybody does. And so I pull out the list and look at the list because I can read. Okay. And one of the things that you can do, and one of the things that allows you to do, like having a list. So I do a couple things. I have the list, okay, if I want something super granular because it's a very long list. Then the other thing that I do is just Google feelings wheel, and you can find a feelings wheel, and I promise this works every single time. I've used this with hundreds of clients. Is you just like look at the feelings wheel and allow your eyes to roam over it, and you will find the feeling that is most accurate because it'll just resonate, for lack of a better word, and it'll resonate in your body. And what having those two particular tools to feel your feelings allow you to do is it allows you to get just this much removal from your feelings. Okay, because your feelings aren't you, actually. I know nobody's ever told you that before, but I'm here to tell you your feelings are not you. And if your feelings aren't you, doesn't that give you a whole lot more freedom to like choose who you want to be? Because remember, like figuring all of this stuff out is all about who do you want to be and how do you want to be in the world, right? And so if you can just get that little bit of space and attach words to the feelings and come from intellectual curiosity. I have lost 85 pounds, I promise, from intellectual curiosity. And I am looking at the list of people who have joined us and like the list of people who talk to me after I do these lives. And I know how smart you are, and I know exactly where intellectual curiosity has basically gotten you in your life and how far intellectual curiosity has gotten you in your life. And what if I told you, really, the difference between me and me 85 pounds ago is the application of intellectual curiosity to my feelings? I mean, that seems kind of crazy, right? But that's really what it was. And so the journey has been really very, very interesting. And the journey basically started with my, going and getting coaching. And I never started coaching. Like, for heaven's sakes, I never started coaching so that I would lose weight. I really thought I was going to be the weight that I was. Like, I spent like my entire post 18, pre child, and really I went back to this weight because I lost so much weight with Zachary in the beginning. Um, that I think by the time I gave birth to Zachary, I was back to my regular weight. Maybe I might not have gained weight with Zach, which is not something anybody should be aiming for, I have to tell you. So please don't take that away as the takeaway of this. But with Ben, I gained weight, and then with Molly, I gained weight, and then after Molly, the weight never came off. They're like, "Oh, you should just nurse, and the weight will come off." Yeah, well, I'm hypothyroid, and that didn't work. And it was about 2 years after I had Molly, so pretty close to when I had the picture I posted in my stories. That was probably me at my heaviest, and that's a picture and I loved that dress. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, I may have gotten heavier after that. And because I remember that dress not fitting all that well, and me being bigger than that. And it was kind of maybe about that. I was definitely at almost the biggest I'd ever been by the time I found life coaching, and I joined life coaching to grow my business. Like seriously, I joined up with the life coach school because I wanted to figure out my business and do better at my business, and that has certainly happened. I will tell you, that's been one of the amazing side effects, or not. I mean, it's been the intentional effect, right? But the side effect really has been losing the weight and quitting the drinking, and what ended up happening was I just dove in and I just started doing work. And I was like, well, if Brooke says that you can do this by doing this, I wonder if I can. I mean, I work in the food industry, for heaven's sakes. I wonder. And that's where it started, because wonder is a feeling. And what if all you have to do is I wonder if this is where I can get. And so I decided to see, I was like, I wonder if I could do this and if it would make a difference. Because I had a lot going against me. I had been at that weight for, 4 years at that point. I have always been overweight. I was hypothyroid. I have a service-connected disability, which makes exercise really fairly painful. I could lift up my ankle and show you my brace that I'm wearing. It's very sexy. So I felt like I had all of these things about reasons why I couldn't do it, reasons why I hadn't lost the weight. And as we're fond of saying around here, you either have the things you want in your life or you have the reasons that you don't. And I had a lot of really good reasons. I really did. But then I decided, I wonder what would happen if I decided to try this. And so that was the very first feeling, was wonder. And then I started the exercise that I had you guys start last week, which was stand on the scale once a day and write down everything that you think. And I started doing that. And I stood on the scale once a day and I started noticing everything I think about myself and about my weight. And for many of us, the story of our weight and our weight journey is probably one of the, if not the most, traumatizing journeys that we have in our lives. Okay, Susan Hyatt, who used to be one of Brooke's, who went through the life coach school, and she wrote the book Bear, which is a very good book. In that book, she writes that the average woman, by the time she dies, will have spent 32 years cumulatively over her lifetime dieting. Okay. My suspicion for men is it's not that far. It's not much less than that. Almost every man I've known has also been on a diet. So, eating disorders and body dysmorphia in boys, very underdiagnosed in my opinion. And so I think that is also true. And what I started noticing when I started doing this exercise day in and day out, and by exercise I mean getting on the scale, not actual exercise, getting on the scale day in and day out and day in and day out, and writing down my thoughts, because that's all I did. I didn't change how I ate yet. Okay. I wrote down my thoughts and I learned how I was feeling. Okay. And I did that for probably a month before I decided to start on the actual food protocol, changing how I ate, because I saw that it was working. Getting on the scale, this is all that I did, and I think I lost 4 pounds in the first month. I got on the scale and I wrote down what I was thinking and feeling. The end. And it took me, it took kind of depending on how much I weighed and whether it went up or down, right? And not even that. It maybe took me 10 minutes every day, but that would be on the outside, right? That would be an overestimate. And the things that I felt myself feeling, I mean, some of it was curiosity, loathing, disgust, disappointment, what are some of the other things that was kind of, and self-hostility, though I didn't identify it as self-hostility then. I didn't learn how to identify self-hostility until probably 6 months ago. And that's what I started, understanding, is that my self-conversation in that weight journey was one that was incredibly, incredibly negative. And there was a lot there that I could start really thinking about and start really reframing and going from the idea of, and this is all that I did, is I went from the idea of I hate my body. Like, I just want y'all to think about right now, for how many of you that is so true. I hate my body. And every time you walk by a mirror, every time you walk by a window, you may not think it consciously, but you think it subconsciously. I hate my body. Okay? And every time you do that, you suck a little energy out of your brain. And you do that multiple times a day, okay? And you end up binge eating. All right, I was never really a big binge eater. My binge eat, like my binge eats probably don't look like regular binge eats, but I definitely did it, kind of like everybody does. The end of the day, it looks like having one more helping. It looks like having one more drink. All of that emotional exhaustion looks like doing all the things that we're going to talk about tomorrow when we talk about doing the things we do instead of what we said we would do. And it was exhausting. And what I really realized was how much emotional energy and intellectual energy I was putting on my food. Okay, and what I was eating, and counting calories, and writing things down, and all that sort of stuff, and how much time I had spent on that. And what would it look like if I actually spent that time on my business? Because what was I doing life coaching for? I was doing life coaching so that I could make $1 million in my business. That's what I was doing life coaching for. Okay? And so, and I have made, and actually since, if I tally it up, since I started life coaching, I have made $1 million. Not one consecutive year, but I have made $1 million, more than $1 million. And that really means something, okay? Because what I want you to look at is, if you could feel all of the feelings associated with your body and the food that you eat, and you could just feel them and not resist them, how much more intellectual energy would you have to do the things that matter to you in your life, which might not be your weight and your food? Okay? I would much rather be thinking about how to serve my clients than what I'm having for dinner. I literally would so much rather be thinking of that. I don't actually eat dinner anymore. And like, decision making about dinner, super easy and clean. Don't eat dinner. The end. Okay? Which leaves a whole lot of room out there to think about my clients. But we're afraid of that sort of decision making. So when you're stepping on that scale and you're looking at all of those feelings, how afraid of all of those feelings are you? Because we think that those feelings are really, really true. Those feelings really, really define us. Those feelings are us. And the feelings really aren't you. The feelings are not you. Okay? And that intellectual space that you can get, that intellectual curiosity, when you feel what you are feeling and you figure out that those feelings are not you, can give you all the room in the world to go from hating your body to having your body. Okay? I'm not talking about loving your body. I am talking about intellectually accepting that the body that you have, the hips, the thighs, the breasts, the butt, like all of it is the body that you actually have right now. And there are a lot of us whom, when we have that conversation, the predominant feeling is anxiety. Because if we're not hating on our bodies, what does that mean? Does that mean that I just accept my body? That I just accept that I take up the space that I take up? And what does that mean? Because for many of us, we have been absolutely told that we're not allowed to take up space. And if we hate our bodies, we are agreeing with the concept that I am not allowed to take up space. But I have news for you. You take up space. You are allowed to take up space. Your space is meaningful. You are meaningful and you are worthwhile, 100% worthy. in the body that you have. And that anxiety that we all feel, okay, when we decide to stop hating our body, that anxiety may actually be telling you you're on the right path, because your brain, it hates change. Change produces anxiety in your brain, in my brain, in everybody's brain, okay? That's like exactly what anxiety is. It's your brain's way of saying, good Lord, don't do that. You wouldn't want to do that. We might get hurt, okay? But what does it look like to just sit with that anxiety for a little bit, okay? And what better place to practice this than the anxiety around your body, okay? So many of us have just come through or are coming through. I mean, it's Easter Monday, and I still think we're in Passover. These hero journeys of our Abrahamic religions, okay? And part of that hero journey is actually dealing with bodies, whether it is Israelites fleeing Egypt and going to the Promised Land, or the literal body of the Christ being crucified. All of our Abrahamic religions deal with the corporeal reality of who we are, and really all religions deal with that, okay? The Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree in his own body wrestling with Mara, and it is that wrestling, right? But we got to identify that we are wrestling, and that wrestling is a product of words in our head. And when we can allow that, those words in our head to come about, and just come at them from intellectual curiosity and say, this may or may not be true, it gives us just a little space. It gives us just a little teeny bit of space to be in the body that we have. And that's a learned and learnable skill. Okay? I have learned it. It is teachable. If you want me to teach it to you, if you think you know somebody for whom it might be interesting, just get in touch with me. Sorry, the cat. He's 18. We let him do what he wants. And feeling your feelings, and this is actually one of the ways I know I'm feeling my feelings, because when I'm in emotional intensity, the cat comes to me, right? Because I've got a lot of anxiety talking about this. I'm a businesswoman talking about weight loss to the whole entire world. I am talking about what I thought about my body, right? To people who may be buying stuff from me. Let me tell you, that does not feel comfortable, but I'm okay with that discomfort. And the reason I'm okay with that discomfort is, again, because I have a why. Okay? And so when you get super uncomfortable, one, discomfort is a feeling, okay? And discomfort comes, again, from sentences in your brain, okay? Just look at what that sentence in your brain says. Do not walk on the computer, cat. Just look at what that sentence in your brain says, right, Covey? Right? And then when you look at what that sentence in your brain says, you can identify what the feeling is. And you can look at that feeling and really allow yourself to feel that feeling. So when I feel anxiety, interestingly enough, it happens in my diaphragm, right? Which is exactly where Kobe likes to press himself against me and purr. Cats are amazing. I know at the life coach school we're all about dogs, but there are some of us who are very much about cats. And allowing for that anxiety to come through means everything. It absolutely means everything. And you can understand the anxiety, the discomfort, all as words. And if all you can do this week is look at the words of your feelings, the words of your feelings mean everything. And you can just do that and just write them all down. And I promise at the end of the week, you will have figured out how you feel your own feelings. And that's all you have to do to start. Alrighty, that is what we have for coaching today. If you have any questions, of course, Ben would like to say hi. And if you want a place to write down your feelings, just slip me a DM. It's totally fine. Give me your address, and I'll send you a... Stop it, dude. I will send you a notebook. All right. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow. We're going to be having a lot of these same conversations, especially around discomfort, when we talk about what we do instead of the things we said we were going to do. We also talk, that covers drinking. So drinking and other drinking, social media, all that sort of stuff. Okay. I love you all. Have a great day. And we'll talk tomorrow. It's at noon tomorrow, so half an hour earlier. Bye, guys.